When we first started Church on the Ridge, God, if you don't build this place, I'd never started a church before. The team I was with had never started a church before. It's just the blind leading the blind. We'd gone through some teaching, some training stuff, but we'd never done it. And it was crazy because we rented, right next door is the office building that we rented, and we started in there, and it was probably like back to Phil and my sister there, I can't remember her name. Oh yeah, Megan. It maybe one more back Karen there, but it was really short and really wide this way, and so it was like this train thing. I talk to people down that way, and how do we expand this? And the building was fully leased out, so there's like not a whole lot of places to go. But the people who started the whole development here, Quadrant Corporation, leased the offices right behind the wall, so it'd be like that wall back there, but it was just really close up here and we said, hey, would you guys ever think about moving out and letting us take over this spot? Crazy story. I don't know how long they took or what they did, but they came back and they said, you know what, we'd like to, we're kind of done here and we don't really need this space anymore, so yeah, we'd like to give it to you. In fact, we'll pay the rent for the next 2 years. It gets better. We'll even pay for the tenant improvements that it's going to take for you to tear down the walls and move out the office, the whole thing. When God's people step into God's purpose, God's presence flows in and his power flows out. And all you can do is scratch your head and say, God, that's amazing. And that's what we want today. Lukewarm doesn't do anything. In fact, a lukewarm church, number one in your notes there, has no purpose. It literally has no purpose. I told you last week that the two most important days of your life, the day that you were born, and the second is the day that you discover why you were born. So many people walk through life and they don't have a clue. They're thinking it's to make this, it's to do this, it's to get married. Oh, that's the big dream, get married. It's to buy a house in the Snoqualmie Valley. Then we'll be full. And it's to get this job. And as you know, and you may be right in it right now, but I promise you can look back at those things that you thought were going to do it and those didn't do it because this one won't either. But the lie is that we just keep trying until you figure out why God created you. Church that is lukewarm. It's like the church in Revelation. I know your works. You're neither hot or cold. I wish you were one or the other. But you're lukewarm, so I'm going to spit you out. So much of my life and ministry, I've heard pastors preach on this. Pastors are good at putting a guilt trip on people. Have you noticed that? It's just, shaming you, right? And this is one of those passages where it works really well because you're not hot. And maybe you're cold, but you're going to hell cold. And it's worse if you're lukewarm. Like you only got one option. You can be white hot for God, or the other two are, terrible options. Until I began to look at this, and Pastor Kay said, hey, Charlie, you're going to preach on this, and you're going to preach on it correctly, right? You don't mess with Pastor Kay. She knows. I said, yeah. Lukewarm is bad. Cold is good. Hot is good. Okay, you got it. Because here's the deal. 6 miles to the north of Laodicea is Areopolis. Little village, and it's renowned for having hot mineral springs. And people would go and sit in these mineral springs and the salts and the things. It would just refresh, would bring healing. You guys know, you sit in a sauna or a hot tub. Oh, I feel so much better, right? And so people did. It would bring healing. 11 miles the other way was Colossae. And Colossae was known for this spring up at the top of the mountain. It would flow down the mountain, and it was cool, beautiful water. If you guys like to hike in the Northwest and you stop by a spring, and people tell me I shouldn't because there's giardia or something in there, but it's only if it's red. And I'll drink, and it is one of my favorite things to do in all the earth. And I'm not kidding you. When I'm out hiking and I can stop and I just, man, lapping it up like Gideon's army and loving life. Colossae had that. And then you got Laodicea, had no water at all. So the Romans built these aqueducts that would bring water from a spring a few miles away. But this water it kind of had some stuff in it. But by the time it got to Laodicea, guess what it would turn into? Lukewarm water. And you think this might be apple juice. It's not. By the time it got there, it was calcifying, going through the pipes. In fact, I got a picture of the pipes. You can see this thing's supposed to be that, big, and it's so much calcification would go through there, all the minerals, and get there, and people go, okay, maybe I can use it for washing, but nobody wants a drink. It wasn't refreshing. It wasn't restorative. It wasn't like, hey, this is going to be something. It was just lukewarm potty water. Despite all their wealth, their water was useless. Jesus was not talking about their emotional level, hot or cold. He was talking about their purpose. Hot water had a purpose, man. It was therapeutic. Cold water had a purpose. It was refreshing. Lukewarm water had none. Let me ask you, when people see you, do they go, oh, that was a refreshing encounter? Now, they may not use those words, but they leave going, man, I feel good. What is that? Or when they leave, they go, you know what? I just got encouraged. Man, I was broken and hurting, and healing flowed. On the last day of the great feast, Jesus stands up to all these people and he says, if anyone is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. And then he says these words, and out of his innermost being will flow rivers of living water. By this he meant the Spirit, which had not yet been given because he had not yet been glorified. But in you, the Spirit in you, God has been glorified. He says, I live in you and I want to flow out of you. And so many of us don't know our purpose. We walk around and we say we're Christians and it's there, but nothing's coming out. And people encounter you and they leave, and encounter you and they leave. And God is saying, oh man, be hot, bring healing, be cold, bring refreshing. But this, Jesus made this statement in Matthew 21. Seeing a fig tree by the road, he went up to it, but found nothing on it except leaves. Oh, a nice tree. Oh, it's got leaves. That's kind of cool. He says, may you never bear fruit again. And immediately the tree withered. I watch people who don't know their purpose and going through life, and they are withered. And the more they try to grasp, the withered, the more they get. And they go to their deathbed, and they think, what was it all for? I hope I did something. Life, community, purpose. A lukewarm church looks alive, but produces nothing. Wow. Good news. When people step into God's presence, God's purpose, His presence flows in. I know God lives in me. I know God has changed me. I know I was blind and now I see. I know that there is something greater in my life. And it's showed me how to live and how to love, and out of me flows His power. A lukewarm church not only has no purpose, but it has no presence. Laodicea said, I'm rich. Got everything I need. 401k looks good. And Jesus said, you're wretched and you're poor. Somebody asked the preacher about the guy he buried and said, man, he had a lot of wealth. How much did he leave behind? The preacher says, all of it. All of it. Without the presence of Christ, you're fighting the battles on your own. You're fighting the battles in your own strength. You're fighting the battles and trying to live life with something more, and it continually ends up empty. But his active daily presence in our life is so amazing. Instead of calcifying the Spirit in us, we say, no, Lord, flow out of me. In Exodus 33, Moses makes this statement. He says, Lord, if your presence does not go, I ain't going. This is Moses. And if you're not going with, I'm not going there. Don't send me. Moses knew that without God's presence, Israel was like just any other nation. Without God's presence in his people, we're just people with leaves. Another organization, call us the Kiwanis, the Eagles, pick one. Laodicea thought they could run on their resources. We got plenty. We got enough. Without his presence, they had nothing. We live in one of the most prosperous regions in America. And we fall into this trap. We got this. We got this. I got it. But the truth is, when we step into his presence, he provides in ways that our resources never, ever, ever even come close. Doors open, grace is unleashed, miracles happen. We're trying to start the church. We're trying, we don't know what we're doing. So we're praying, God, give us some ideas. And we're doing this brainstorming. We came up with this amazing idea. This is so cool. We ought to do it again. We really should. This is just so cool. We said, hey, before we're not even, the door's not even open yet. We're not even having church, right? But we're trying to let people know that we're going to have church. So on Christmas time, we said, hey, why don't we wrap people's Christmas gifts for free? And then, they'll come to the building, we'll wrap their gifts, and they'll leave. It'll be great. So we spent a lot of money on putting it out there that we're going to wrap people's gifts and everything. And we're going to do it 3 weeks in a row leading up to Christmas. First week, Saturday, we're there, and we're waiting. And we got all these wrappings and bows and ribbons and scissors and stuff, and we're ready to go. Well, it's a little early yet. Next week, we'll have some people come through. Christmas wrapping for free. Everybody wants that. The next week. I bring donuts for everyone, the volunteers. The team, let's do it. Third week. Half the team doesn't show up. One guy in the 3 weeks shows up, brings I might exaggerate, but it like 30 gifts. Had kids and everything, his grandpa or something. And so we're wrapping all his gifts. We're all so excited about it. The whole thing was a bust. Who heard from God on that one? What a dumb idea. Fast forward to Easter. Open the doors of the church. People start coming in. It was weird, wild. And we're talking to people and shaking hands. Hey, how'd you hear about us? Well, you know what? One guy says, you're that nice church. You guys just do nice things. You did the Halloween thing, and you guys did that Christmas wrapping, didn't you? For one guy. Yeah, man, you guys just do something. We did a father-daughter dance. You guys do some nice things. Yeah. Well, that's cool. We thought we'd check it out. It so happens that guy worked for Quadrant, who talked to his boss, who said, this is a good church. They do good things in the community. And this whole planned development that you've put together is lucky to have a church like this in the community. You gotta do something nice for them. See, when God's people step into God's purpose, God's presence flows in, and his power flows out.